Hey everyone, I wanted to give you an update on where we're at in the Daniel series. I know it's been a few weeks since I've posted a video, but it doesn't mean that I haven't been working on the next video. It's not a matter of hardly working, it's actually been working quite hard at going through quite a few articles, journals, some books as well, and just trying to get it all sorted out to see where we're going to be going in the next number of videos. And with that, I wanted to kind of give you a glimpse at where we're heading in the remainder of chapter 9. So let me shrink myself out of the way here. As you can see, yeah, there's a lot of folders, a lot of files. If you just need to get an idea, is that there's about 30 folders on this topic alone. I got articles upon articles upon articles and so forth, and trying to just weed through all of it. But the next video that we're going to be working on here is actually a survey on early Christian views. And with that is that I felt it was really important for us to go through what did the early church authors, writers, believe on the 70 weeks. And I think there's a lot of times some prophecy experts that will take what these guys say and probably take a point from them and say, see, look how they agree with me. And they won't bring up the points where they don't agree on. And then they take one from one, take another from another guy, take another from another, and so forth. And all of a sudden it just looks as if like everybody has been agreeing with them since the beginning. And I think that's a little academically dishonest. And so I want to show exactly what early writers wrote about the 70 weeks since the foundation of the church. And then also do one on rabbinic views. And because with that, there's going to be the naysayers who say, oh yeah, the Christians, you just made it up, you just want it to be about Jesus, you just want to be about prophecy, blah, 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 blah. But what if some rabbinic views held that it was messianic especially before Christianity rose? That's pretty intriguing if that would be the case. So I'm just kind of leaving that out there. So we'll be going through rabbinic views and seeing how the Jews taught it and how some of them still teach today. I've seen videos. I've seen their stuff. Jews for Judaism, and basically a response to Jews for Jesus ministry. But then also go into pre-Christian views. So basically anything, in the 1st, 2nd century BC. A lot of this is going to come from Qumran and some other pseudepigraphal works during that time frame. And we'll be checking out how probably allusions and a little bit of direct, but it's going to give us kind of a viewpoint of how were they looking at it. Were they looking at it past the 2nd century BC of Antiochus? Did they see it as messianic? Did they see it as apocalyptic? So there's a lot there too, and so it's going to give us kind of I think a wider scope, and also probably knock a few of us back. And because if some of you hold some really deep beliefs about the 70 weeks, this might just be like, oh, I didn't realize there was all those other, not just views, but things to think about, just to say it that way. But then we'll get into actually a punctuation debate, and in verse 25, because if you go with the current Masoretic text, that it's really going to alter just the whole scope of the first 69 weeks, the 7 and 62 weeks. And is there one person or is there two people being referred to there? And that's big, especially if you're trying to advocate if it's about Jesus. And so this is a text critical issue, to say the least. Then we'll get actually going through, and I would call these like going through like 3 laps of the final 3 verses. The first is going to take us and focus primarily on the city and sanctuary that is said to be destroyed. This should pretty much end the debate over whether or not Daniel was supernaturally predicting future events, regardless of 2nd BC authorship or 6th BC authorship. And we've talked about that before. Then we'll come back and discuss the Mashiach that's cut off at the beginning part of verse 26. Is this about the King Messiah of the Jews? Or is it just someone who is said to be anointed and then cut off, which could talk about being killed or just simply casted out? And so there's a lot of understanding the terms and context and just a lot there, as probably a lot of you know. Then we'll get into the 70th week, the verse 27. And biggest question there, is it historically fulfilled already? If so, when? Because there's multiple views on that. Then there's also the idea of whether, if it's not historically fulfilled, then it remains unfulfilled, being still future. And that would be an eschatological view. And so we're going to have to go through all of that. And that could be possibly split off into 3 separate videos or packed into one really, really long one, and which would then take more time to produce as well. And so with that, the early Christian views, I just wanted to give you a little snippet of what we'll be covering and who we'll be covering. We got the Epistle of Barnabas, we have Irenaeus of Lyons, Justin Martyr, and discussing his so-called silence on the 70 weeks. Africanus, Clement of Alexandria. Just as you can see, I'm at 82 slides already developed here. And that goes all the way down, just for him, goes down to 129. So 47 slides. And you can tell it's same old, here's a ton of history, pointing things out, what he says, a little bait and switch we'll talk about coming up there. And, you know, because they wrote in text, and I'm trying to show you color and displays, and what they're all saying takes a lot of time to develop. And so with that, working on next is Hippolytus of Rome. He wrote the first full commentary on Daniel as we understand commentaries today. And with that, he's probably going to get 50 slides to himself as well, because these guys were also chronographers. And then with that, you got to understand how they viewed history. When do they say events took place? And because that's going to inform how they interpret Daniel and where they put those events. And anytime you get into chronology, it's going to take a long time to get this all laid out and ready to go. And you can see it, you know, I haven't even broke down half of Hippolytus, and I'm already up to 159. And just for a little framework here is, when I get to about 100 slides, that's like a 30-minute video. And so this is going to be by far the longest one I've ever done. I think this is probably going to be pushing an hour and a half, to be just dead honest, which is, it is what it is. But I really felt that this was needed because of all the reasons I said before. And this is just some old slides there, but then, you know, so right now, got through 5, and we still working on Hippolytus, Tertullian, Origen, Eusebius, Apollinarius, Athanasius, Cyril, Julius, Severus, Augustine, and finishing off with Jerome. And so we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I know that's a lot, and it's probably going to feel like, man, that's exhausting and exhaustive, or maybe too exhaustive. Sure. And I'll probably say in there, like, hit the pause button or hit stop. Come back to it later if you want. But it's probably going to be quite eye-opening, because there's going to be a lot of things in there that if you've read a lot of prophecy books or watched other videos, and they probably pull from here and there from these guys, and probably some people you never even heard of, is there's going to be so much material that you've probably never been exposed to that you're going to benefit from. And it might make you at least pump the brakes on, like, oh wow, I didn't realize that there was so many views just from the Christian side so early on. And wherever you stand today with all of it is to just maybe pump the brakes on, getting so fired up with somebody who doesn't share the exact same view as you. And, like I've said before, is that, how you view the 70th week does not affect your salvation, and we don't need to be firing missiles across at each other when we're essentially on the same team. Goal 1, show it's supernatural. Goal 2 is then to show that it is messianic. And when you do that, then you got the 1-2 punch. And so quite a bit there to unpack. And then as you see, that we'll be having some get into the Rabbinic side. Got Josephus and the Seder Olam, and there will be other things to be discussed within those as well. And then we'll get into the pre-Christian Qumran material as well. And then we got all the other videos to cover as well. So I wanted to give you that update where we're at. And so I hope that with everything that's going on right now, you probably hear the birds chirping. It's nice to be outside, get some fresh air. And I hope that wherever you're at is that you're doing well, and that you're safe and you're healthy, and C-19 has not caused you any personal or financial struggles. We know that a lot of people are struggling out there, and if you are, I'm sorry, and can pray for you if you'd like, and that hopefully in the next coming months we'll get back to quote-unquote normal. Normal will look different, obviously, but that will at least get back to where we can kind of interact more like we used to. At least go back to church. Hopefully we will be able to do that in the coming months. But if not, everyone just continue to know that what our call is to be lights in this world, and like I've said, to remain salty in our walk, and because everyone's watching, they always are, and just to display Him and show that your hope is not in this world but in the eternal, and that we know that if our day comes, whether it's today, tomorrow, next month, in a year, is that regardless of that, is that we know that we're going to be with Him, and that's ultimately our hope. And so with that, I hope you are well, and we'll be hopefully getting this next video out within the next week. As you can tell, there's a lot of material to go through, and so hopefully within the next week, if not 2 weeks, would be the max. I hope, again. So, but other than that, take care and God bless, and stay salty.